Greetings, everybody. This is Sabin Dimitrov, aka Adins for the Astrowolf, and it is a pleasure to have you guys here for this next video. So, I saw this silly little ad for the Mario Bros. Movie that's coming out, and this ad is actually a perfect representation of how my characters are in the different stories that I am working on. So go ahead and watch this, and I'll tell you guys how this will be a great, understanding of how my characters work.
Do you yield? I do not.
So, the reason why that is a great example of what my characters are like is because, well, I'm going to start from timeline 1 and work my way up to timeline 6. So, timeline 1, which is the Astral Wolf. The reason why the Astral Wolf is a perfect example of that, and actually why his people are a perfect example of that, is that the planetary leaders are actually required to be frontline fighters to, lead by example. And, sometimes you have to lose your own life to save many lives of others. And, the Astral Wolf, or Adinstvo, is, leads by example. He wants to be a good leader. He wants to let other people know that they can be valiant and courageous, and that the name of the Empire will not fall even if we do lose a couple people. And, what matters is the strength of the people and the strength of the leaders leading the people. And that's one of the reasons why Adinstvo and his mate, Blossom, or the Astral Lotus, give me 2 seconds. Her name is Sufti. Adinstvo's mate, Sufti, which is Bulgarian for blossom, that, stands out. She, fights alongside him because she's actually the leader of her own people as well. And, she's, is known to be of the celestial dragons, which are these beautiful, like, Asian dragon-looking characters. If you want to know what they look like, they look similar to how Rukashio's art of Golden Lotus does. They are a artist that draws cool characters, and so Sufti, and Adinstvo both lead, because they are, they're married now. They actually became married before Adinstvo came back. Actually, wait. Yeah, before they came back. When Adinstvo was reborn into the Astral Wolf? No. Wow. Give me a second. This was when the Unity Wolf... So, Adinstvo first started out as Commander Sabin of the Augsfube, and then he became the Unity Wolf of the Augsfube, and then it became the Astral Wolf of the Augsfube, and then the Augsfube became the Astral Empire, and then but the subtitle of the Astral Empire is still Augsfube, but Adinstvo and Sufti, they both work very, hard to lead by example, and they actually have real-time camera feeds, in certain parts of the fleet, so that way people can see how things really are. Unfortunately, a lot of the stuff that politicians and leaders do nowadays is that they try to make themselves look good. And one of the things about Adinstvo's people... Oh, give me 2 seconds, guys. Alright, but anyway, guys, Adinstvo wants his people to see how he really is. And that's one of the reasons why his approval ratings have been astronomically high. Not only do the Astralic people have a natural, want to follow their leader and to work as a unity, but they also appreciate that Edinsville is willing to be honest. Edinsville is one of those people that will not be afraid to tread on people's feelings and their opinions. He knows what is right for his empire, and he's willing to do whatever is needed, even if he has to trample over a couple people. He prefers to, make everything work smoothly if he can, but if he needs to, you know, he will do whatever is needed to make sure, that the best choices for his empire are made for, for the best interest of his people. And, there are actually fan video accounts from the the Astralic fleet that shows them in battle, shows them how they fight, you know, shows them how how they act, when in peacetime. People get to see constantly updated videos of how things are, and they keep things real. And it's sometimes raw, unadulterated footage, and you know sometimes they see a dense foe when he's angry. Sometimes they see him when he's happy. Sometimes they see him when he's suffering a bout of psychosis. Remember, a dense foe is still healing from the trauma that he underwent as the Unity Wolf. And even still, he still suffers, PTSD. He still suffers, paranoia. He still suffers, some pretty rough stuff, but he still has proven to be a very strong leader for his people. And, they have bolstered, his, decisions and, have rallied behind him. And it's, something very, very special. And that's one of the reasons why, that little ad kind of, is a great depiction of, Adensvo and Svuti. Sufti. Give me a quick second. Sufti. Adensvo and Sufti. Because they both, are on the front lines, willing to be the first people that enemies attack. Because sometimes the safest place is in your most powerful weapon, and that is exactly what Adensvo has done. Is that he has made the safest place in all of the Astral Empire be his ship. And his ship is the one that does the fighting. The AA, that really long, number, the really long set of letters, the Astral Empire's flagship, the Unity, it's a very, very special ship, because for its size, it's smaller than the Astralic Alliance, but it's way bigger. It's way bigger in the sense of power to size ratio. One of the scary things about the Unity is that it is able to unleash a constant bombardment against the enemy. And one of the recent things when the Astral Wolf came into effect is that when he got in touch with the Astral Moon, he got in touch with the Astral Tech. And, when he got in touch with the Astral Tech, he found Dark Tech. And remember, guys, the Dark Tech is pretty much the black magic, the restricted, nobody ever touches technology. Because unfortunately, that technology, that the Dark Tech, is said to drive people insane. And that's one of the scary things about that is that Dark Tech is seen as an abomination, and even the Dark Empire won't touch it because it has an effect upon people who use it that drives them to insanity and to be power hungry, crazy people. But for Adinstvo, because he has his astrologic enhancements, that actually protects him from the effects of the dark tech. And because of that, the dark tech sees Adinstvo as its new, commander, its new holder, because the dark tech has been sealed away for almost 30,000 years, but it has been continually improving itself for when its eventual master comes. And yeah, Adinstvo now has astrolic dark tech. So it has been purged of that psychotic, you know, psychotically inducing, aura. Unless you are an enemy of the Astral Empire or you're not allowed to touch it, then the astrolic dark tech will actually attack you. But yeah, for Adinstvo, you know, the astrolic dark tech is a very beautiful, beautiful thing because that allows his ships to become twice as powerful as they were before. Because you are merging two unimaginably powerfully advanced technologies together to create this amalgamation of unbridled power. And, the astrolic main fleet is pure astrolic dark tech. They have dark matter reactors, they have antimatter generators, they have dark matter weaponry. Like, these ships are things that would be along the similar lines of the Night Stalker. These ships are known for being terrifying to the enemy, and the enemies usually scatter when Adinstvo has to put his paw down. Remember, Adinstvo is a giant freaking scary wolf that stands at 12 feet tall. He's pretty much he has a similar build to what the Grinster has. Just a block of muscle and raw power that is ridiculously articulate and supernaturally powerful. That's kind of one of the things that, makes the Astral Wolf and Svuti, amazing examples of leadership. Because whether they are on the defensive or whether they are on the offensive, they are there fighting on the front lines with their people, rallying the troops, being like, hey, we're going to fight, and you guys are going to join us because we are fighting. We are willing to put our lives on the lines on the line as your leaders. You people must do the same for your people. And yeah, like I said, guys, the recent story of the valiant story of the Oxfield Protector and the Astral Empire civilians defending their home planet. That is a prime example of the mindset of the Astral Empire. The people have been taught, to have a very kind of World War II Japanese-esque, style of mindset about the Empire. Fight till your last breath. Protect your people, protect your heritage, and make sure that future generations can go on even if you must sacrifice yourselves. And that has been taught ever since 10,000 years ago, when the astrologic populace started to conglomerate. They all had the ancient teachings telling them how things should be done, and because of the Astral Seven's teachings and them being being the cornerstone of the astrologic people's mindset, that allowed a very strong sense of unity and cooperation, and it is a very beautiful, beautiful thing. And then, the Astral Wolf and Svuti, Adinstvo and Svuti are known for being the frontline fighters of their peoples, and it's something very, very special that they are willing to do, and fight. And it's very precious. So, that is why they are good examples of good leaders, because they are willing to be honest. They are willing to, to be brutally honest. Fight with their people, and make sure that the enemy knows that they will not cower behind walls of steel, but instead bring forth destruction and death upon their enemies. Now, we are skipping Timeline 2, because Timeline 2 is just kind of like a concept kind of like a thing that I can, just kind of like try out ideas on without it becoming canon. So we're going to be skipping to timeline 3, and that is Drugar. And Drugar is a prime example of why, she is, such an amazing leader for her people. I'm actually going to be doing a video on her, and, hopefully I'll be able to get some artwork of her done, as well. And Drugar, or Drugar you, and let me figure out how you say her name. Give me a quick second. It's a weird pronunciation. So, yeah, Drugar you, or Dragariu. Her name in short is Drugar, but her longer title is Dragariu, and it technically stands for comrade in Bulgarian or Russian, but it's a strong name because she is a friend of her people, and the video I'm going to be making after this will most likely be about her and kind of a understanding of what she was and how she is. And, she is, a top leader of her people. And even from a very young age, she has shown, amazing, strides in her leadership of her people. And she was actually said to be chosen by the Astral Seven. Remember, the Astral Seven varies slightly from different, timelines, but they all have that similar same purpose. So even though they may be, different, they are still end up, having the same ending. And the Astral Seven are said, so you guys remember that like weird movie Atlantis, that like really cool one made by DreamWorks back in like the early 2000s, where like, there was like really cool blue crystal in the center that would glow, and then the tombs of the ancestors would float around that thing. Pretty much, the Astral Seven are these very special gems that are made only for the astrals, and they float around the central core. And each color means, pretty much one of the seven spirits of the great creator, and that is kind of what the people are supposed to stand for. But unfortunately, a time of darkness fell upon the people, and Drugar, or Drugariu, Drugariu, that actually rolls off the tongue very well, Drugariu. I like that. That's nice. I just had to figure out how to say it again. My apologies, guys. But, Drugariu is, an amazing example of leadership for her people. Because there were people that were trying to, push her out of the way, and she exterminated them because she knew what needed to be done for her people. She is so incredibly intelligent and, smart, that she can think thousands of moves ahead of her opponents, and she is said to be unbeaten in every battle that she has dealt with because her mind can very quickly, compensate. If she ever suffers a blow, she can recalibrate unimaginably quickly. Like her brain is on the realm of quantum computing with like how incredibly fast it can run over, simulations of what can happen. And she can, she is incredibly intelligent. She's a very good leader. She actually has supernatural capabilities that allows her to, read the intentions of individuals. She has she has a thing called the Astral Seven's Judgment Blessing, where she can judge, people's intentions and what they, plan to do, and, she can, judge people accordingly to what their actions are and what their intentions are. And that's one of the things that allows her to be such an amazing leader. And that is when she was able to also find the people that were trying to overthrow her and exterminate them. It was actually said that she uses one of their skulls as a bowl for her soup, as a sign of she's not going to tolerate dissension and people who put her people at risk for their own gain. Now, she's a she's very warlike. She's more than happy to like stomp people into the ground. She's one of the more. Remember, guys, the astrals as well in each timeline shift from each different from each different timeline. But in all honesty, they have kind of the same purpose, even though they have differences about them. You see, the astral wolf is kind of supposedly the only astral, and that's timeline one. And he has to lead his people in the astralic ways, or the astral seven, or the astral seven of the great creator. And timeline three, the astral seven, or the astral seven is and the people is a whole society of astrals living on Earth, hidden completely from view. And it's actually said that they destroyed their own city at Atlantis to make sure that humanity would never be able to get in touch of it. It was said that they actually got a premonition, a warning from a they aren't really sure what that source came from, but they got a warning saying they had to destroy their city of Atlantis in a way, and retreat into the giant jungles of the earth. And they are so well hidden that even today, with the advanced technology, they cannot even be found. And it's so the astralic people is a whole society of astrals, and they look similar to what Drugar looks like, but Drugar is supposed to be like the freaking emerald or diamond butterfly out of like regular butterflies. So they're all still butterflies, but Drugar is by far the most beautiful. So yeah, she shows a very kind and caring hand, toward her people, and it's often seen, administering medical aid, showing kindness to her people, working on even more menial tasks. Like, if there's a person who's having trouble carrying something up a hill, she will help. And, she's a servant of the people, even though she's a leader of the people. And that's one of the things that really has bolstered her, her leadership over the astralic people, because she has shown amazing leadership qualities. Ooh, one view on our pickle. I mean, one view of our video. Pickle. Gee, I'm tired, guys. I apologize. Yeah, view my pickle. My gosh. Take that out of context, why don't ya? Anyway, so Drugar, Drugariu. Oh man, I love how that rolls off the tongue. Drugariu, is a friend of her people, and the people are her friends. And it just goes to show the tight bond that she has with them. And even though she had to eradicate multiple other tribes and evil religions, she got rid of them, and cleansed a pretty great evil from the world. And so it's something very special that she did. No one really knows exactly how old she is, but it was destined by the Astral Seven that she was to lead her people. And then she falls in love with little human buddy, and she's very, very tender with her human, and she cares very much about him. And it's cute. It's very, very cute, because so those like weird hair tails that like that like the weird people from the movie Avatar would have, that would end with like little tentacles. She pretty much has like a giant tentacle tail that like ends with this beautiful, beautiful 7-colored plume. that opens up with tentacles, and she will often use those tentacles to hold on to her her little human, um to her little human, while they walk around, just as a way to show affection without uh, um compromising her more regal appearance. But yeah, it's cute, and she shows very deep care and respect for her people, and will do whatever is needed to protect them, and her people in turn will support her in that. And so it's something very, very special. Then timeline 4, that's Plamuk. We're gonna have to jump over that one most likely, because there isn't exact. I mean, technically, a good example of leadership would be, the Arbiter and the Alpha. But unfortunately, they have no choice but to hide behind walls of steel because there is so much evil in the world. But their leadership has brought forth amazing growth for the people, and if they could, they would fight on the front lines. And in the past, before they became the leaders of Arsenal X, you know, they both suffered immensely and on the battlefield. They saw very special people that they cared about die in front of them. And yeah, the Alpha and the Arbiter are both known for their excellent leadership qualities and for being a friend of the people in Arsenal X, and having you know led their people to amazing Sorry, guys, I dropped my phone. Anyway, leading Arsenal X to prosperity and success. Only then, when does my book kick in, does things start going sideways, because they are dealing with a creature that is, on the realm of Drugar, but bigger and meaner. So yeah, so no matter what they have tried, it's always ended with a failure with this creature. And it's making them feel horrible, because they're pretty much sending people to their death, even though that's their best possible chance. And that's when my character comes into the book, and they choose him to go see what's going on. Now, it sounds like he's being sent to his death, but you guys will see once the book comes out. But yeah, so that's timeline 4. Timeline 5 is my Keevakian character. If you guys want to know what a Keevakian is, it's from the YouTube channel Fennah, Fennah. I believe it is in all caps. And I wanted to make a character who was a Keevakian. And he has and my character is known as the Verkhoven Pritishtik, which is the great mediator between humanity and the Keevakians. And in my alternate reality of this timeline, some Keevakians are naturally blessed with these things called symbiotes. And these symbiotes allow them to have a supernatural ability to see the truth and know if people are telling the truth. Unfortunately, the majority of Keevakians in that timeline, my alternate timeline, this is not canon, this is my alternate timeline, ignore them. So unfortunately, the symbiotes shrivel up and die, and that causes the Keevakian to be at the fate of their own whims, instead of actually having a conscience and a friend to help you out. And in my timeline, my favorite one at least, is when Sabin meets Yeshua, or Kruv. Sabin calls him Kruv, which is Bulgarian for blood, because of his blood red fur. And let me see if I can actually pull that out. Sabin absolutely refuses to call Kruv by the name that that he wants to go by, But Kruv, finding the name seemingly fitting, accepted it because of his blood red fur. And he was known for his very brutal attacks against targets. Kind of like a hitman, you know. And if you guys want a reference, this is what I'm talking about for Kevorkians. This is Satellite City. Go ahead and check them out. Pretty cool stuff. Like I said, guys, my alternate timeline is not canon. It's just a unique, way that, I turn it, into like, my own, kind of turn it into like a secondary story. But pretty much what happens is that Kruv, befriends Sabin. A lot of my characters are named Sabin because it's pretty much Sabin in different timelines. So just bear with me, okay? I know it's kind of unoriginal, but just deal with it, all right? But pretty much, long story short, Kruv has been watching Sabin for a long time. Sabin's a human, and and he's curious of him. Usually Kruv doesn't care and will just kill people left and right just because he can. But Sabin was like the one that's kind of stood out to him. And in this timeline, it's kind of interesting because Kruv, even though not wanting to show care for someone, does actually like to have Sabin around him. And will sometimes, just pick him up randomly and just carry him with him. Just because, so he can have Sabin with them. And like I said, Kruv, because he has 4 arms, what he will do is that he will use either his upper arms or his lower arms to support Sabin, while his other 2 arms do whatever he needs them to do. So, like, because Kruv is like 15.5 feet tall, he's this like titan of a creature. He would just pick up his little human friend, not really say much because he doesn't really know how to show affection or care, and it's just like, you're coming with me now, and Sabin's like, oh, okay, bye guys, talk to you later, and then yeah, he just walks away with his little human in his arms, and it's like, and they just talk. But one of the things that Kruv does enjoy is face rubs, at least in my timeline. And that's one of the things that, Sabin gives to him very, very well, is face rubs. And there is actually, in that timeline, a position that pays very, very well with the Kevorkians, called the Seducer. And the Seducer is pretty much is a professional massager. And what it does is that the massager not only, gives them like a shoulder massage or a face massage, but also they can feel, the care behind that, the emotion behind that. And Kruv is actually one of the few Kevorkians that did not neglect his symbiotes. And in fact, in time, he actually gives Sabin one of his symbiotes as a sign of trust and care. And that's something very, very special, because when a Kevorkian does that, they're pretty much calling you their own. And Kevorkians hate humans. They absolutely hate humans. There are some of them that actually like humans, but the great majority of them are just like, what are these pathetic little worms? But yeah, so over time, Kruv, forms a bond with Sabin and gives him a symbiote, and that allows Sabin to be able to contact Kruv whenever he wants via kind of a supernatural bond, kind of like a walkie-talkie system and like a heads-up display. If you guys have ever seen Halo ODST Drop Shock Troopers, Dropped into Hell, that cool game that came out, I think, mid 2000s, it's kind of a heads-up display, a lot like that. Like, Kruv and Sabin can talk and, put information up, in their eyes, and be able to, discuss what, is going on and what needs to be done. But as you guys can see, Krev is freaking huge. And, yeah, he's not a person you want to mess around with. And he has 9 tails. And, it is actually said that Krev was the one that introduced humanity to the Cat o' Nine Tails, a weapon made after his own liking. And that is actually one of his preferred weapons, because his tails, although soft, end with a little spike that he can use to gouge and claw at the enemy. And that pretty much turns his tails into these like whipping around knives that carve into the enemy and cut them apart. So it pretty much turns Krev into this murderously powerful beast of just, destruction and death. And he's a creepy boy. He's a very big creepy boy, but exceptionally fluffy. And that's one of the things that, he appreciates about Sabin, is that Sabin doesn't judge him on his past much. I mean, he's like, really, Krev? Did he really have to do that? But like, he became friends with his little friend, and Krev likes face rubs. So yeah, so Sabin will often, enjoy the soft fur because, he likes fluffy stuff. All of my timelines, Sabin likes fluffy stuff. And he will, play with like fluffy faces, fluffy ears, fluffy paws, whatever is soft and fluffy, and just pet it and feel how soft it is and enjoy its texture. So, yeah. So Sabin actually gets a part-time job, a very well-paying job. That within the Kivuakian people, and that allows him to be a thing called the Grand Seducer. And it sounds provocative, but it's not actually. Just Kivuakians are not the best with words at times, and they have words that mean different things to us than it does to them. And yeah, the Grand Seducer, just helps other Kivuakians relax, and in turn they get paid in big money. And in fact, one of the Kivuakians actually gives Sabin a symbiote as payment because he helped stop them from going insane. And after getting so much currency, Sabin was actually able to buy a thing called an evolution crystal. And an evolution crystal allows, a certain allotment of neutral matter, neutral biomass, to be given to the individual, and then that they can use that to evolve. But since evolution crystals are like antimatter to the Kivuakian people, it's super hard to get your hands on one. But because they had a good chunk of those, locked up in a way, Sabin was able to save up, resources and money and other such things and favors to get evolution crystals. And, one of the things that Krev really believes heavily in is evolution. And even though humans can't do macro evolution, Kivuakians can. And that's one of the things that Krev has a problem with humanity, is just like, you guys can't evolve. What's wrong with you? Stop being so pathetic. Believe in it and it will happen and stuff like that. And so yeah, it's just kind of interesting. And so yeah, so Sabin, as a token of friendship to Krev, after Krev gave him a, 1 or 2 symbiotes, gave Krev an evolution crystal. And that allowed Krev to fix a lot of his ailments, and allowed him to become more powerful, and, helped heal some of his quirks. And that really kind of solidified, their relationship. And then over time, unfortunately, because Kivuakians and humans are non-compatible, there was a thing called the corruption, where the symbiotes unfortunately started to eat away at Sabin's body. and not out of maliciousness, but just as a natural tendency to morph and transmutate matter. And if Sabin did not go through with a special process called, you know, evolutionary transmutation, he would die, and the symbiotes would shrivel up and die. So eventually, Sabin had to make that tough decision to leave his human side behind and become full Kivu. So, but because Kruv actually, played a huge part in Sabin, getting his new body, Sabin looks like a carbon copy of Kruv. So, there you go. See? A very special friend of mine made me this art piece. And yeah, my character has 9 tails. Except my character doesn't have, he usually has abyssal black fur and then markings that will form as time goes on. But so the Verkhoven Princhnik, I think that's how you say it. It's a very weird word. Like I said, guys, my normal language is English. I don't know how to speak Bulgarian, sadly, so I'm trying the best I can. If I could give up English to speak Bulgarian, I would in a heartbeat, because I don't like English. It is an annoying and frustrating language that has like 10 words for every single thing, and I wish that English was a lot more like German. You have one word for everything, and it's very exact. It's a hard, it's cold, strong language, and you don't have to deal with tippy-toeing around stuff. So yeah, English is a very frustrating language, and I don't like it. But yeah, so my character gains 4 ears with the little fluffs on the end, and as you guys can see, there are color gradients. The main part of a part of his body is black, and then you have this kind of like navy blue-esque kind of like form to help contour his body. And then you have tribal markings that, give him, that give him, that extra, level of contourment and look to him. And Verkhoven's, so his title is technically called Verkhoven. So, yeah, so, give me a quick second, guys. So technically, he still goes by Sabin, but he is known as the Supreme Mediator, or the Verkhoven Princhnik. Where is that? Yeah, Verkhoven Posrednik. There you go, Posrednik. Sorry, my apologies, guys. Is his official title. So he often goes as Sabin or Verkhoven, because like I said, guys, in my alternate timeline of the Kivuakian people, you have 2 titles, 2 names. You have one which is like your title, and they can call you as such, or they can call you by your given name. But so Princhnik, Verkhoven, has a very strong relationship with both humanity and the Kivuakians, and makes sure that the Kivuakians don't overstep their boundaries, because the Kivuakians are guests on the planet Earth. They don't have rights to the planet, so they have to, realize that, and Sabin will punish them if they step out of line. Severely punish them. So they have to, make sure that they don't step out of line, because one of the things that, that makes Kruv such a scary person is that he's never lost a battle. Because of his, 9 tails and 4 arms, and also his incredible jaw strength, surprisingly, he can really mess up somebody. and no, and a lot of Kevorkians tried to get the better of him, but as you can see, that did not end up well with that. But yeah, so Verkoven has these tails, and you know they are a color gradient with this beautiful violet, kind of like you know what's that term? Twilight purple look on them with 7 dots. And the 7 dots, it's a subtle shout out to the Astral 7. Even though there's nothing that has to do with astrals in this, my character still loves the number 7. And yeah, so I'm not exactly sure what size my character should be. I've thought, maybe 6 feet, 10 feet, 12 feet, or 15 and a half feet, the same as Kruv. Just kind of depends on how I'm feeling. So there's a little bit of inaccuracy on that part, but the character still remains the same. And this allows Verkoven or Sabin to, be a mediator between, humans and the Kevorkians. And this was actually one of the first times I've decided to try to build a battle base. And that's one of the things that makes Verkoven so terrifying, is that he made a battle base that looks a lot like Kruv. It's this crimson and white ship that looks like Kruv. And it is terrifying because it has 9 tails at the back of it that can be used to lash at ships. And remember, this is a massive ship. Imagine the two side pontoons being near the size of the Yamato, and then the main central area being, like an oversized Yamato. It pretty much looks a lot like the Battlestar Galactica. And it's just this angry looking, terrifying ship that uses advanced weaponry. And it's rumored that there is actually a city called it's a rumor that there is this city of Kevorkians that plans to try to overthrow the human race and take over the planet. And Sabin has to put a stop to that. So it is estimated that within 30 years, he will unite all of humanity and the Kevorkians who believe what is going on is wrong, and do a final assault upon that city and eradicate that threat once and for all. But his main goal right now is to prepare humanity and the good Kevorkians for war, and then try to befriend any other Kevorkians he can find and help them turn over to the cause. And in turn, those who help humanity will be given, asylum and, reservations to live on where they can be safe and not have to worry about people messing with them. And so, yeah, it's just kind of a fun little, look, because, from becoming this small, kind of weak little human to this powerful figure of, of authority and, mediation, his main place of, existence is either in the underground base of Kruv or aboard his battle base, his giant murderous battleship. Now, this battleship cannot fly easily, but it can do a thing called like a pulse jump, where it can kind of, temporarily morph itself for like land travel or like, very short air travel. But primarily it's a water-based craft. But yeah, it's really, really cool. And this was actually one of the first times that I actually built a Grinion, built a giant battle base. And then that was very quickly followed by Drugar's battle base that Sabin helped helped the Astroloc people make Drugariu, on Timeline 3. So that's just, kind of fun and just kind of an interesting thought of, all that. And then last but not least, we finally come to number 6. This bad boy, Shefe, inspired by Worry the Laughing Wolf. And a very nice friend of mine actually made me this for my birthday. And it was very, very nice. I wasn't expecting them to do that for me. Now, because Worry likes things to be in the image of him, I already told you guys somewhat of like how, Sabin's and Worry's relationship grows, right? But, for wanting to give Sabin the best, he made it look a lot like him. So Worry has a lot of implications in Sabin's body throughout his various transmutation processes. This is Timeline 6, by the way, if I didn't say that before. And, one of the things about, my character, he actually, originally I goes by Shefe, which means boss in Bulgarian. Shefe is, a creature that looks very similar to Worry, because Worry wanted, Worry's like, well, Sabin's gonna die anyway if I don't do this, but I'm gonna have some fun with him and make him look like me. Worry, is still prideful and egotistical, so he's like, I want to make you look like me, and he did. But in turn, that also gives Sabin Worry's powers and abilities. And, so yeah, crazy stuff with that one, actually. And this is my secondary non-astrologic timeline. All the other timelines are astrologic, but these two are not. And like I said, guys, the Grinster and Worry and a few others worked very hard to save Sabin's life, and that's one of the reasons why he was able to survive, and also by the divine grace of the great creator. But it's it makes Shefe happy knowing that he has friends even in dark places. And remember, guys, pretty much Worry's realm is as dark as you can get without it actually being hell. Like, it's a very dark place full of just abominations, like terrifying, horribly ugly things. Now for Shefe, he's normal. I mean, he's kind of desensitized to it, and he's just like, huh, hello, big creepy thing. Hello, pits of despair and darkness. Hello, big flesh wall that farts out Grinions when there needs to be new ones. Hello, weird, gross flesh pit of fleshiness that, can be used to help train new Grinions. And it's, like it is. This is like an abomination realm. It's like everything is just kind of gross and just creepy and blah there. But, Shefe, becomes very well known with the Grinions and actually frees, the son of Worry from, his entombment, like his chamber, because son of Worry suffered a catastrophic mental breakdown and kind of went insane. And Worry, to avoid, son of Worry from being from destroying everything, had to lock him inside this, giant like dodecahedron kind of like holding chamber. And when Sabin became friends with this creature, because Sabin's soul shined bright enough to, through the eyes of, Son of Worry, that allowed, Sabin to have amazing benefits from that. And like it is, Shefe has, already immense supernatural power. He can, tell what people are thinking. He can judge people's intentions. He has enhanced wisdom. He has his friend the Grinster to help him make the right choice. He has the Holy Spirit, of course. You know, he has the two wolves that Worry give him that, are bound to Sabin's soul, that, want to help. Keep saying Sabin Shefe. Sabin and Shefe are the same person, so just as a reminder, Sabin and Shefe are the same person. So if I switch between names, my brain's just kind of farting out there. But anyway, bleh. There we go. But yeah, so the wolves, like I said, are pretty much carbon copies of what Worry looks like. Because remember, Worry wants stuff to look like him. He wants stuff to have his kind of, tag on it. So, so that is why he gave Sabin two wolves that looked exactly like this, except they both had intact horns. And these two wolves would act like, guardians for Sabin. And they would help him and protect him. And they would help him make the right choice. And if he would get angry, they would do their best to help him, compensate with that anger and, deal with it. They're kind of like a third level of consciousness because unfortunately, Sabin's consciousness suffered, catastrophic breakdown. Like everything just kind of fell apart. And it's very hard to listen to it now. So Sabin kind of needs an extra hand in, staying on the straight and narrow and not falling into psychosis. But it's said that once he became Shefe and became full Grinyan, the psychosis and the fits of rage actually stopped. Now he still has anger, but it's much easier for him to deal with and easier for him to make better decisions because his body is not literally being torn apart from the inside out, atom by atom. So, yeah, trying to think. Such a weird tail. I would totally play with that tail though. But yeah, and one of the ways that Shefe leads is that he's inside his battle base on the front lines doing his stuff, and it's just kind of another testament of how he wants to lead, and in turn that has actually helped some of the other Grinyans be like, hey, we want to help out too, and he leads by example, and it's not without the great creator's help, and it's not without the support of his friends that he's been able to get this far. And yeah, so it's just kind of fun being able to tell you guys how each characters have their own leadership qualities, and the Grinster in particular is known for being a teacher. That was what his original purpose was supposed to be. Before humanity fell into just destruction. So the Grinster, was like better one than none, and decided to take Sabin underneath his wing and teach him. And in turn, Sabin helped the Grinster be taught, and in turn helped Worry be taught. So it's kind of a whole bunch of really fun, different little things about like different characters showing good leadership qualities that help support their friends and others. And this one's one of my more convoluted ones, but it's still a fun one because it gives my character an incredible range of abilities and talents, and kind of helps you see the battle between good and evil inside him. Because remember, Shefe, he's still human. He's still human at heart. He still has his soul. But he has to deal with a lot of the stuff and the corruption that happened with the Grinyans. But, he eventually, overcomes most of it and handles himself pretty well. And in turn has sprouted many churches, has sprouted, many campaigns to help people in need. And in fact, the Grinyans have even helped him with those. And I'm like, hey, you need some help built? We can do it. we're here to help. And the Grenions would build entire, settlements within days because of their, of how numerous they are. And because the Grenions are incredibly tough creatures, if one of them falls off a building, they just kind of pop all their bones and stuff back into place. And I was like, yep, I'm back up and ready to go again. Let me climb up the side of this building again. And yeah, so Sabin, from becoming this kind of like almost pet of Worry, became a very big influence and friend and leader amongst the Grenions. He wasn't exactly quote a pet, but Worry kind of saw him as that, kind of his little own special human that he gets to have. So kind of a weird relationship between Sabin and Worry for the first part of it, but Worry started to see the value of Sabin and how much he actually really kind of wanted to be around his little human, and in turn that kind of formed compassion and care inside that terrifying, scary soul of Worry. And that's kind of how my character is now. And in turn, he Shefe becomes, a great leader amongst both men and Grenions. And, has helped, spur forth, amazing strides in humanity. And, stamp out, giant pools of evil and giving humanity more time before the great evil comes. And, yeah, so it's something very, very special, and kind of just, like I said, guys, all these little timelines, there's different characters showing good quality leadership traits, and it's just fun. So, yeah, I just, kind of want you guys to be able to enjoy a little explanation of, the different leadership qualities of my characters in their various timelines. But I must say that my favorite leader is probably the Astral Wolf of, like, my characters. But my favorite leader that is outside of Sabin would probably be Drugar or the Grinster. Because both are known for being incredibly wise, very intelligent, and being able to make right decisions and even, think thousands of steps ahead of everybody else. So it's just kind of fun, guys. But anyway, guys, this has been Sabin Dimitrov, aka Dinsvo the Astral Wolf. Been a pleasure to have you guys here for this fun video. I kind of explain the leadership qualities of different characters in my stories, and yeah, I really do hope that you guys will enjoy future content from me. And like it is, guys, I just want I like to put videos out there and stuff that you guys can have fun watching. This one's kind of a long video. Holy pickles, it's already 2047. But yeah, guys, I just kind of wanted you all to enjoy, kind of like, a fun, a fun idea of, like, how my brain works and how it forms characters. Not a lot of people go into why they thought about, stuff the way they did and why they run things the way they do. And, yeah, so it's just kind of fun, to, tell you guys how my brain thinks and how I would, run a good leader in my stories. And it's fun, and it just kind of shows courage, and forward thinking on the people in charge's points and ideas. So it's fun, guys. So thank you very much, guys, for being here for this kind of fun, quirky video. Thank you guys for just enjoying and sticking with me through all these many years, and I look forward to being able to see you guys on the next video. Always remember to like, share, and subscribe, guys, because the faster we get to 1,000 Wolfpack members, the better. Anyway, guys, you guys stay awesome, and always remember, God bless.